never look at a pencil the same way again. So before we start, yes, Speed Impressions will be extending to movies, and I'm also going to be keeping this video non-spoilers. So don't worry, no spoilers will be going on here. So anyways, let's talk about the movie. This movie I really enjoyed, and I had a fun time watching it in the theaters. Though I will say this, while it's really good and I do find it to be a step up above the first movie in some cases, in other cases I would say that it's on par, if a little lower, but not by much. So basically the story of John Wick takes place after John Wick Chapter 2, it takes place after the events of the first John Wick movie. Basically, he got his car back during the beginning of the movie, and now he pretty much goes back into retirement from being an assassin. However, someone that he owes a marker to, the one who helped him get out of that life, is calling on the marker and is asking for him to assassinate someone that's in a seat of power so he could take the seat of power. Of course, John says no, but the guy decides to persuade him otherwise to do it, and so John is dragged back into the life to assassinate this person, and then is dragged into a large string of events that leads to some very hard-hitting set pieces, both for John himself, but also for the world around. I gotta say this right now, I love Keanu Reeves as John Wick. I really feel like he does the character justice. From watching the training videos to seeing him on screen, being able to pull off all this gun kata and otherwise being a skilled assassin. But the one thing I like about this movie in general is that John is human. He does get injured, he does get hurt. We see him get shot, stabbed, beat on, and otherwise. Unlike most other action movies where you barely, if at all, ever see the action hero get injured. And in this movie, it's kind of refreshing to see that even though John is as good as he is human, and he does get hurt. And it's cool to see that. Like I said, Keanu Reeves nails the character perfectly, and I'm glad that he nailed him again here with the gun kata, the wisecracking nature, which there are a lot of those kind of moments. Just Keanu Reeves is a good actor when it comes to this character. I don't care what anyone says, he knows what he's doing. And speaking of the wisecracking nature, this movie also revels a little bit more in its dark humor. Like, it seems to have a lot more dark humor jokes compared to the first one. And I'm completely okay with this because literally one of the dark humor moments, and no worries, this isn't a spoiler, John is literally fighting this one guy. They pretty much go through a window back into the Continental Hotel, and because the Continental Hotel doesn't allow, any kind of work to be done inside, the next moment they're having a drink at a bar. You just tried to kill this guy, and you just tried to fight for your life, and now you're having a drink with him? That's the kind of dark humor this movie revels in. But that's what I mean. Keanu Reeves does a great job as John Wick. The dark humor is really good. The music is amazing. It feels like video game music where you'll be hearing ambient music, but then as soon as the action kicks in, they play like an action kind of variant of that ambient music. I'm not kidding. If you've seen the movie, I'm pretty sure you can tell what I'm talking about, where think the Splinter Cell games, where you hear like ambient music where an enemy maybe like noticed you or heard something suspicious, but then once they see you, it kicks from ambient to action. That's what the John Wick music is like. And not to mention the characters, except for one, are really memorable. I loved seeing all the characters back again, like the Consigliere of the Continental, and various other characters of that nature. It was cool to see these guys again, and to see some brand new faces. But I do have a couple of negatives with one character in particular, and that's the main villain of the movie. My main problem with the main villain of the movie is that he's nothing like the first movie's villain. The first movie's villain knew John's ability and made sure to take every single precaution to the point that he got into it. Like, he got very active and otherwise into trying to take down John Wick. Whereas in this one, the main villain really doesn't do that much against John. I mean, granted, he the generic sends everyone against John Wick, but doesn't really do enough himself to warrant him being like the final enemy, if that makes any sense when you think about it. And then, of course, the other negative I've had with this movie, but it's more of a nitpick, is that some of the surprises of the first movie aren't in this movie. Granted, there is a big surprise at the very end of the movie, which I won't spoil, but a lot of the other surprises of the first movie aren't here. They're pretty basic. Like, they're surprises, but they're not as big as the first movie surprises. So, like I said, it's a nitpick. I don't have a major gripe with it. All in all, what do I think about John Wick Chapter 2? I really love this movie, and I would highly recommend seeing this in theaters, because during the ending segment, when we all saw the ending at the theaters, everyone was silent. No one said anything. Like, you could probably drop a goddamn pencil and hear that thing hit the floor. Keanu Reeves as John Wick was amazing. The dark humor was really good. The freaking action set pieces, while what we're already used to from the first John Wick, were still a treat and otherwise to behold, especially with John getting hurt himself, not being this invincible tank that could do everything. It was just a good movie overall and a great follow-up to John Wick. I would highly recommend seeing like John Wick Chapter 2, and if they make a John Wick Chapter 3, I'm in. And that's my speed impressions on John Wick Chapter 2.